It is Wednesday evening. I'm in my really cute little kitchen. I love this. I have always loved this house from the first time I walked in. And I have to say, you would not know it if you could be around me when I'm trying to make my place in this house. Jason has a wonderful taste, and he has an eye for art and color. The house, it's just enchanting. It's very endearing. And I think because I had come from a Victorian style, or not even Victorian, it was a little later than that, 1920s style house, but then I had a lot of Victorian style decor in the house. And I had such a hard time for a long time taking myself out of that. I feel like it's taking a paper doll out of one book and trying to fit the clothes on it from a different book. It's not that you don't like the different book, it's just that you're having a really hard time fitting in. So I've always loved it. I love everything here, and I'm excited that I have finally hit a place within myself that it feels like mine. And Jason has always wanted me to feel that way. I have a huge pot, a huge stock pot with some chicken leg quarters in here, and I am cooking those. I've got the timer set for about an hour. I don't know if they'll have to cook the whole time. I want them to cook until the chicken is falling off of the bone, and I'll take it off the stove and take all the meat off. The broth is going to be used to make chicken soup. It's going to be so good. I've got carrots here, and thank goodness I still have an onion. That's the last one. We need to buy some more. I have a bag of egg noodles that came from Ollie's. Ollie's is a really cool department type store. I don't know if they're all over the US. They're really fun. They get a lot of cool things that are discounted. So I'm going to peel these carrots for the soup, and I'll turn you a little bit. I'm not going to keep you here the whole time. All of these carrot peels will go into the compost. That chicken smells really good. I love the compost. Every morning when I get up, I take a bowl out to start putting my scraps in for the day. At some point, I'll get an official compost bucket again. Jason really likes that I do this, and I used to always keep a compost bucket by my sink. This actually, let me tell you, this whole setup reminds me very much of my old kitchen. And if I can find a picture, I will show you. I had the sink with the two older white cabinets. This house is a bit older as well, which I love. And they were all painted white. I do like this tile, and I didn't have counters this nice in my old house. So I like that we have that. It's just pretty. It's a pretty little kitchen. It's not that big. Behind you is the formal dining room, which is getting cleaned up because all of my stuff's going to the workshop. And I know that I've tried that before, and I got lazy with keeping the humidity just right, and I got discouraged, and I brought a lot of stuff inside. But I'm gonna have that completely as my office space, or my workshop space, my art studio. Office sounds so boring. Look how big that carrot is. That's crazy. I feel like our little bunny in the garden would not even know what to do with that. What else can I tell you about things that I'm doing here? Let me show you this. This is from the Dollar Tree. I love little dishcloths and kitchen towels and things like that. I am very conscious of bacteria and how it grows in these. So I changed those out. That's my second one today. I can't think if there's anything else. I do love this kitchen. I love this little space. I've got a spice rack over here. I found a little shelf, and I like to see, that's one of my favorite things in the world is a spice rack. not a traditional. I like to see everything. I love the bright colors. I love seeing the herbs through the glass. And I want to get something that is a little bigger maybe. I don't know. I haven't worked it out yet, but I'll find something that I like. I'll tell you one of the things in my old house, and this is really a beautiful story. I walked into an antique store in the town that I lived in, and the lady, they had different people working in there. So if you had a booth in the store, you took turns running the counter. And that way, you know, they shared labor, and you also, I guess it gave you a discount on having your booth or whatever. But one of the ladies in there, I really liked her a lot. Do you ever meet somebody that you feel a connection, like you could just sit down and have coffee and it wouldn't be awkward for the first time. You would just fall right in and be friends. I felt that way about her. And she had several daughters who went to the same school as one of my children. We homeschooled some and some were in public school. We tried to do what was best for the kids year by year. And that worked out really well. I feel like all of my children they're just wonderful. I love my babies. But I walked into the antique store one day and there was this beautiful, to me, okay, it was a cabinet that was probably this wide and maybe this tall, and it had these two beautiful glass doors that opened, and there was one shelf in it. So you had a long shelf here and a long space here and a long space here, and these beautiful glass doors. But it was farmhouse. It was authentic. I mean, this looked like something that you would go to, I can't think, like maybe one of those stores where people are trying to achieve that look, but it's something new. And it was about $280, I think. It was beautiful. It had come out of an old house. As soon as I saw it, I wanted it to go over my stove and to be a spice rack. I knew right away. It did stand off of the wall probably about this far, but I had nothing but wall over my stove. I had an old house. There was no backsplash, nothing like that. You know, I just knew that it would be okay. And I felt like too that it wouldn't come out so far that there would be any danger of heat. This house that I lived in had 10-foot ceilings, and I'm kind of tall and I have long arms. It wasn't up super high, but you know, the doors probably opened like this, and I had anyway, I ended up with it. I couldn't afford it all at one time though. We were definitely on a budget, so they had layaway. I put some money down, and I would go in every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks and make a payment on that. And I think you had 3 months to pay for it. Well, something came up and our budget kind of went south, and I knew that to spend that money, the rest of the money, I think I had made 3 or 4 payments, and I had probably paid like $150 on it. But I knew that it would just be, I really didn't need to pay the rest on that right now. So I went into the store, and that particular lady, and that shelf had come from her booth. I loved everything she had in her antique booth. So I saw her and I said, "I'm so glad you're here. I need to talk to you about my layaway." And I said, I really shouldn't get it. We've hit a snag with money, and I feel terrible. And if I can't get back what I've paid, I understand that, even though I was just hoping that maybe I could get at least part of it back. But I didn't want to be that way, because it's really hard to make money in the antique business. I've had a store that was full of antiques and stuff. So I couldn't believe what came out of her mouth. She said, "You have been on my heart for a few days, and I don't know why." She said, "But I had made up my mind that if you came in here, I was going to tell you the shelf is yours, that I don't want any more money for it. It just needs to be yours." I started crying. I mean, I couldn't stop crying, because that felt like the biggest blessing, and I loved that shelf. I could kick myself because it's one of the things in my stupidity that I felt like maybe needed to stay with the house. It really was a charming shelf on the wall, and it could have been removed. It had long wood screws in it that held it into place, and I hung that shelf myself. I put that up by myself, and it stayed there for years. It was fine. My carpenter husband at the time came in and checked it when he got home, and he said, it's fine, it's great, it'll hold weight. So, you know, not only did the shelf open up, you had the space on top, and I had like antique pictures and things. I could kick myself for not removing that shelf and taking it as mine before the house sold. It was probably raised when the house was bulldozed. I have all ideas that shelf is probably still in it. And one of the saddest days of my life was going to that property after the house had been torn down to get the few plants that I have and to get a piece of the foundation, which I didn't plan to take, but to walk across property and see bits and pieces of walls that all that screen paint, that was Michaela's room, or that's a piece of the siding that was in this part of the house, or not siding, but paneling. The house had paneling in some parts, and we had painted it. But and then pieces of mirror. Let me show you something. This is crazy. I've never had this in the kitchen. This is an art guitar that I'm working on, and it's got all these beautiful things about me and Jason, and some things that are just me. But these beautiful pieces of mirror. This is big, old, heavy, gorgeous mirror. Let me put this back and rinse my hands off. One of the things that I saw walking across the property were shards of that mirror. And that was a big mirror that was mounted on the wall over one of the, I call it a fireplace. It wasn't really a fireplace. It looked like one, and it had been one. It was a fireplace. But over time, and when you live in an old house and work is done through the decades, you can see that the work matches the time frame in which it was done. Like you could say, oh gosh, that carpet was from the 70s. The siding, I keep saying siding, the paneling, I'm sure was from the 70s, like, you know, Brady Bunch. And just think that dark, dark paneling that everybody was so crazy about. The fireplaces they were coal burning. They had been turned into coal burning something. From the time we moved into that house until I left, you could hit the walls and black coal dust in some places would fall from between like this trim around the top of the walls and the walls. Not a lot, but that was history. That was coal soot and dust from burning coal in that house for a long time. And we ended up with these large brown, when we bought the house, it had these large brown warm morning heaters. They were gas heaters. You can look those up and you'll see what I'm talking about. They were about this wide. They were about this tall. We kept pots of water on them to put moisture into the air. And then in the front, you had this glass grate with like porcelain tiles inside, and those tiles would get hot and you could see the orangey blue flames in there. I prayed every night that God would take care of us. I always worried about those stoves. The house was so old, and the way it was built, I think now they have, they try to build so that you don't have solid timbers running from the ground all the way up through the second story. But this house was like that. Anyway, I'm going to stop. I always start rambling with all of this, and I really need to, I want to go ahead and get these cut up and get them cooked, and I might check back in when my soup is done. We almost had a fight out here. I think they're fighting over birdseed.
Hi, I'm not coming your way. I just need to get some rosemary. You're so pretty this evening.
It's dark out. Get some for the soup. Let's get that. This is a huge pot of soup. I think one more. Oh, look. Oh, there's a buck out there. The buck might be the reason there was some fighting going on. He's young.
Bye, see you later. You want some carrot scraps? Or are you gonna go to the water? Do you smell food? I've been cooking.
Look. That's amazing. I'm probably 12 feet from this deer.
Thank you. Thank you, baby. Out? Okay. Do you want to stay in or go out? Out. Okay.
Let me show you what I'm so excited about. I've still been working out here. It's going to be so sweet. I'm so excited. I have to get more fencing for different areas. Well, I have to get fencing, not more fencing. These are the zinnias. They've come up through the ground. I'm so excited about that. This was a birdhouse that never, ever, ever got used in all the years I've had it. So I took the top off and bent the tin down inside of it because I love it so much, and it's got a piece of ivy in it. We'll see how that does because it's wild. I feel like a bird probably brought the seed in because I haven't planted ivy and I've never seen it here. And it looks like a pea plant. It's popped through the ground. And nasturtiums have popped through. Really, really excited about that. Not sure yet about the pepper plant. And not sure about these. Where are you? Where are you? I planted this today. This is a little Napoli. It should be a compact plant. Bought 1 bag of potting soil today. I did some mulching with pine straw, as you can see. I like it. It's free. Why would I go pay for mulch right now? The pH should be fine. I've been reading about it. Some people say that any sort of pine straw or something like that is too acidic, but it neutralizes pretty quick after it falls, I think. We're gonna see. We're gonna see how this does. I don't really have much planted in the ground anyway. This is going to be pretty much container gardening here. Look at this yarrow. That's the most beautiful color. I think the kids in the neighborhood have a new like dirt bike or something. You can hear it. But I'm going to finish the video up now, I think. Thanks for listening to me ramble about the kitchen, and oh my goodness, I'll have to show you what I did. I totally redid a bunch of stuff today. Look at this. Doggone it. What is this? Something, so the petunias are just, they're gone. Something is just decimating this. I mean, what in the world? Maybe I should just pull it out. I've been watering this. What is that? I need to get rid of this before it affects anything else out here. I'm going to end the video now, and I will be back soon with another segment in From the Ground Up.